on page 14 now. When it is not possible fully to distinguish the deity absolute from the unqualified absolute, their supposedly combined function or coordinated presence is designated by the action of the universal absolute. This is said for our sake because sometimes we find it hard to distinguish what they're talking about. We can always put it under one or other of these three entities. They're going to describe now these three absolutes, and we should try to understand it as best we can. These are one of the things we like to skip over when we read the book because they're quite involved. So we'll try to read them slowly and see if we can't get a little bit out of them. The deity absolute seems to be the all-powerful activator, while the unqualified absolute appears to be the all-efficient mechanizer of the supremely unified and ultimately coordinated universe of universes, even universes upon universes, made, making, and yet to be made. It includes all things in there. In other parts of the book, they call the deity absolute the activator, energy activator, while the unqualified absolute is the response, infinite response to that activation. The deity absolute cannot, or at least does not, react in any universe situation in a sub-absolute manner. These are in a realm by themselves. They have to find another way to get down here to work upon our experiential universes. They do never act on an absolute level. Everything down here is on sub-absolute. Even the creator sons of the universes, they all appear of the sub-absolute, the sub-infinite realm of activity. Every response of this absolute to any given situation appears to be made in terms of the welfare of the whole creation of things and beings, not only in its present state of existence, but also in view of the infinite possibilities of all future eternity. They are the overseers of the entire universe mechanisms. The deity absolute is that potential which is segregated from total infinite reality by the free will choice of the Universal Father, and within which all divinity activities, existential and experiential, take place. This is the qualified absolute, in contradistinction to the unqualified absolute. But the universal absolute is superadditive to both in the encompassment of all absolute potential. I think if you have a book by Bill Sadler on the Master Universe, he has some little diagrams in there by way of circles of how divinity, you might say, is broken up into these two realms and unified one by the other. It's a good explanation if you have access to the book. The second thing here is the unqualified absolute. The unqualified absolute is non-personal, it's extra-divine, and undeified. It takes care of all that realm of reality. The unqualified absolute is therefore devoid of personality, devoid of divinity, and all creator prerogatives. It is reactive to creators. Neither fact nor truth, neither experience nor revelation, philosophy nor obscenity are able to penetrate the nature and character of this absolute without universe qualification. Luckily, we have plenty of those down here, because all the cosmos takes its origin in the unqualified absolute. It does many other things. We only see it in the realm of the time-space creations. Let it be made clear that the unqualified absolute is a positive reality, pervading the grand universe and apparently extending with equal space presence on out into the force activities and pre-material evolutions of the staggering stretches of space regions beyond the 7 superuniverses. It takes care of whatever might be, if space and creation can take place, however long it may take to do that, into infinity, eternity, the unqualified will be there to give them the potential to have that done. The unqualified absolute is not a mere negativism, a philosophic concept predicated on the assumption of metaphysical sophistries concerning the universality, dominance, and primacy of the unconditioned and the unqualified. This sentence can be read over and over and over to understand what they're meaning by these terms: philosophic concept, metaphysical sophistries. So I won't go into it here right now because I don't understand it all well myself, not to get more confused than we already are. The unqualified absolute is a positive universe over control in infinity. This over control is space force unlimited, but it is definitely conditioned by the presence of life, mind, spirit, and personality, and is further conditioned by the will reactions and purposeful mandates of the Paradise Trinity. We are convinced that the unqualified absolute is not an undifferentiated and all-pervading influence comparable either to the pantheistic concepts of metaphysics or to the sometime ether hypothesis of science. Trying to distinguish some things that we've had in mind that people might associate with the unqualified absolute, and they really are not. The ether hypothesis of science, we don't hear about that much anymore, and definitely has nothing to do with the pantheistic concepts of metaphysics that all things are God. No, we are the consequence of God action. The unqualified absolute is not force unlimited. The unqualified absolute is force unlimited and deity conditioned, but we do not fully perceive the relation of this absolute to the spirit realities of the universes. So if they don't, I doubt we can either. The next one is universal absolute. The universal absolute, we logically deduce, was inevitable in the universal's Father's absolute free will act of differentiating universe realities into the deified and undeified, the personalizable and non-personalizable values. The universal absolute is a deity phenomenon indicative of the resolution of the tension created by the free will act of thus differentiating universe reality, the functions as the associative coordinator of the sum totals of existential potentialities. The universal absolute will coordinate anything that is out there. Because we have this and this, there's always a tension in the universal absolute. We have existential and experiential. The universal absolute is the one that brings those together. Matter and spirit, again, is the universal absolute that might say is the and in all things.